So hi there, intro macro students. I realized someone pointed out to me that when I was demonstrating how to do the data analysis and collection project, I wasn't properly sharing my screen when it got to the end of the video and I was talking about annotating your graphs in particular in MS Word, which is what I do. And so that's just one technique. If you have other ways of annotating graphs in a PDF or in a other word processing program that you use, Google Docs, whatever, that's fine as well. I trust that you'll figure that out. There's an amazing amount of resources out on the internet. If you just Google how to do something, you can often find a very simple tutorial that will guide you step by step how to do something. So for example, if you wanted to know how to insert shapes into MS Word, all you would have to do is simply go Google, search for how to insert shapes, MS Word, hit yes or click, and it'll bring up tons of options and you can search for the one that you think makes the most sense. Click on them, start them, view them, see if they are explaining things in a way that makes sense to you, and use that tutorial to help you as well. So it's not my job necessarily to show you all of those resources. You got to do a little bit of learning on your own, right? That's a part of being a student, figuring things out on your own. This is very practical when you're out in the real world, your boss tells you to do something. You're not going to have your boss sitting right next to you, showing you step by step how to do everything, right? He's going to say go, or she, I shouldn't be sexist. They're going to say, hey, go do this. And to a certain extent, you figure things out. When you really get stuck, you go back to your boss's office. But remember, they're going to be very busy. So you don't want to bother them with simple stuff that you can Google and find a solution for on your own. He or she is going to appreciate how industrious you are and what a good problem solver you are, that you were able to Google and do the tutorial and figure things out on your own. So by us asking you to do this as faculty at the college level, we're training you for what you're going to encounter in the real world. So just to deal with some of that frustration, if you're like, well, she didn't show me how to do this. A little different from high school, right? Where they did show you step by step, follow this, do this, right? We're backing off as faculty members here at the college level and saying, you know what, we're going to give you some guidance, give you some tips, some suggestions along the way, but at the end of the day, you got to figure it out, okay? You guys are super intelligent. All of my students are super smart. How did you get here, right? You're in college. So obviously you're very hard workers, you're very smart. And so you can do it, right? You just have to be empowered to do some of this work and figure this stuff on your own. So that's my pep talk, because you guys are amazing. Now, that being said, I did intend to show you an easy peasy way of doing this in Word. So let me do that. Let me get a graph and bring it into Word and show you that. I also realized some students had asked me about creating a table. I may have misspoke when I was talking about the best way to present question one. I think the best way to present question one is actually a table, not necessarily a chart. Oftentimes as an economist, I interchange table, chart, graph, right? All of those three things are interchangeable. Sometimes when I use words very casually, the students are like, well, which one is it? Is it a table, a chart, or a graph? And, you know, go figure it out is what I say. Think of the best way to present it. But no, to be fair, I think that a table is going to be your best way to present the information that you found in going to the inflation calculator and calculating the values of the car in the different decades. So let me do that as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start sharing again. I sit down, like, oh, I'm going to take 10 minutes and talk to my students on video, and pretty soon this is going to be a half-hour video. I apologize for the length of it, but honestly, I miss you guys. This is stuff I would be sharing in the classroom. I'd be like going to the front of the class and pulling up the screen and going to the computer and saying, hey, look, this is how you do this. I'd be demonstrating this in person. So I do miss seeing you guys in person. So that's my way of saying, please bear with me the half hour this turns into. I apologize. All right. With that being said, hang on. Here we go. Again, this is more of a repeat of the stuff, but make sure that you've watched the original video as well. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, I'm going to share the right screen. I'm going to start with my Microsoft document. This is my Word document, and hopefully you are seeing this. I guess that was the issue on the first video, that you were not able to see what I had on my screen. I thought you guys were seeing everything, and you weren't. We're figuring this whole Zoom stuff out as we go along. But anyways, so this is the goal of today's presentation for the data collection and analysis project in particular, and to help you with any type of project that you would have to do where you are being asked to present data and talk about data and analyze data in the context of a paper. And so I think of writing the paper as being in the Word document, and then we're adding to it with our graphs and our analysis. So the purpose of this video tutorial, as you can see here, I wrote down 3 things to keep me on task. Sometimes that's a problem. I do get distracted. I'm sitting here in a basement with a window, and sometimes the squirrels go by, so I apologize. But anyways, 3 things I want to accomplish with this video today. 1, how to create a table in Word. How would you do that for the first question in particular? And then I wanted to present an alternative. Some of you might be familiar with Excel, and some of you are just like, oh, I'll just throw it into Excel and do a table. Absolutely. That's a very easy way. I guess I always assume that students are being introduced to the Microsoft products, the Microsoft Office suite, and high school level. I know that my daughter was. I have a daughter who's now a senior. She'll be a senior. Oh my gosh, where did the time go, right? She's actually a Running Start student here at Eastern. But prior to getting to her senior year, she had used Excel, she had used Word, she had used PowerPoint to do presentations. So I know that she was familiar, but I know I can't assume that all high schools are giving their students amazing access to these amazing products that are going to help your work go so much more efficiently. So if you are familiar with Excel, it's something you should figure out if you're not, right, by the time that you graduate. I'm not going to expect you to be fully fluent in Excel for an intro econ class. By the time my economics majors graduate with their Bachelor's of Arts or Bachelor's of Science in economics, they can be teaching Excel. That's how well they know Excel, as well as the most commonly used statistical packages that are out there in the private industry. So you don't need to be an expert. I'm just going to show you real quickly. But if you are familiar with Excel, it's super easy to make a table in Excel and then just copy it into Word. That's an alternative approach to creating a table in a Word document. And then the third thing, again, is what I talked about with how do you annotate those graphs? How do you insert the shapes and the call out boxes that I am asking you to do if you really want to get a good grade on this project? Again, I said this in the original lecture. You are not required to annotate. You can get a C. You can get average score on this, perfectly average score in the C range, right? That's average in economics and in college in general. B is typically above average and A is outstanding, right? But if you're looking for the average, you just need to import the correct graphs. The graphs have to be correct. They have to have the right year. They have to be the right data. They have to be the right, what do I want to say, units. They have to be percentage change versus level form. They have to be quarterly versus annually. So pay really close attention to the specifics that I ask for. I ask for very specific things. Let me give you a hint, and here is your reward for watching this video. And this is my way of checking to see who is not watching my videos. Because all of you, your freebie for today, your bonus points, right, are that you're going to get the correct graph for number 4. Question number 4, I specifically asked for civilian labor force. Civilian labor force, CLF. That is not the same thing. Let me repeat. That was not labor force participation rate. Labor force participation rate, LFPR, does not equal CLF. So make sure that you're grabbing the correct data. I want the actual number of people that are in the civilian labor force. I do not want percentages. I do not want a rate for that first part, number 4. Okay, so I can't tell you, maybe half the students typically get that wrong. You guys who are all watching this lecture will have absolutely correct number 4, right? And that's the one that's the most commonly missed on this project, okay? So go out there, make sure you get civilian labor force, not labor force participation rate. And wrong answer, okay? Good. So everybody who puts labor force participation rate on this project, I'm going to give them an unhappy face and say, you didn't listen to the lecture, did you? Okay. All right. That's my check to make sure you guys are paying attention. Anyways, and then number 5, follow up on the civilian labor force. All you need to do is the civilian labor force should have been in level form, should have been in actual numbers of individuals. When you go to number 5, I believe I asked for the percentage change. You have the graph already there in Fred. All you need to do to get number 5, easy peasy, I made it simple for you, is to go and change the units to percentage change, boom, and there's the same exact graph. It should be the same years, should be CLF, right? So you just want the basic percentage change of the actual civilian labor force, Okay. All right. So anyways, that's a little hint. Thank you for playing along. Let's go to example number 1 then. Creating a simple table in MS Word. So I'm envisioning, right, that I asked in this question for you to calculate the value of a car in certain years, I believe certain decades, the 70s, 1970, 1980, 1990, and so on, right? Using the inflation calculator. So we're taking out the effects of inflation and saying, what would it have been worth in $1970, in $1980, in $1990? Okay. And then I further said, hey, pay attention to the rates of change between the decades to see over the course of the 70s, from 1970 to 1980, what you're talking about is the 70s, right? From 1970 to January 1, 1980, or even, somewhere in 1980, that's going to represent the decade of the 70s. So what kind of inflation did they have over that entire decade? And you can find that percentage change is current. And let me put that up here. Maybe that's something that you guys forget from your math classes when you were doing percentages, right? And so the percentage change formula, real simple, and you could have Googled this as well, right, is always, right, percentage change is equal to, in this case, you want to take the current value, subtract the previous value, right, and then divide by the previous value, okay? So let me do a quick example here. Let's say Bob weighed 100 pounds at the beginning of 2019. Let's do 2020. Bob's been sitting at home. Let's just say go back 19. We don't want to do the Corona 15 that we're all getting from sitting at home. I just got a delivery of Girl Scout cookies. Really bad news. And I knew the person who was delivering the Girl Scout cookies. I know the director of the person who's in charge of the Inland Northwest Girl Scouts. And so she was the one that is actually shipping the Girl Scout cookies out. So she knew us and sent us extra Girl Scout cookies, which is a great thing. We got free cookies. A bad thing is my waistline really doesn't need those extra cookies right now. So anyways, I would have brought them to class today, but we can't do that. Sorry, guys. So virtually, just imagine eating my yummy Girl Scout cookies. And so let's look at Bob weighed 100 pounds, but by the end of 2019, let's go, but by the start, because he's going to make a New Year's resolution, right? Start of 2020, he weighed 120. Let's say he put on 20 pounds. Okay, he had a rough freshman year or something. Anyways, it all happens. It happens to everybody. We gain weight in spurts. I'm like, oh crap, when did that happen? Anyways, 100 pounds is not heavy, by the way. I could have done. I wanted to do 100 because it makes for nice percentages, right? Anyways, so poor Bob. I'm making fun of him, and he weighs a whole 100 pounds. I wish, right? Anyways, so let's find Bob's percentage change in weight. Okay. And so what we do, and they used to do this on the show The Biggest Loser, right? If you ever watch that show, it's one of my favorite shows, where they take these people that have been fighting with obesity for a long period of time, and they teach them exercise, and they teach them good nutrition, and they try to give them some really good habits, how to lose weight over a short period of time. They set them to like a boot camp, and they constantly have them weigh in, and it's a competition, and people get eliminated. It was a really cool show. And anyways, they would put them on the scale, and you've got these big, huge guys who are 300 dropping weight like crazy. And then you've got the women that are maybe 150, but still for their smaller body frame, still kind of overweight or whatever. And they would have to do it by percent weight loss, not by actual pounds. Okay. And so that's what we're looking at. So to look at Bob's percentage change in weight, we would take his current weight. I'm typing this out, minus, if I can type, minus previous weight, right? And then divide that by the previous weight. Okay, so using that formula, then Bob's percentage change in weight is, in this case, 120 minus 100. So the difference, he gained 20 pounds, but you take that 20 pounds and you put it relative to where you were when you started, not to where you ended up, but where you were. How much did you grow from the beginning to the end? So in this case, we're going to divide by 100, and that's easy. 20 divided by 100, everybody knows that's 20%. Okay, so that's how you do a percentage change formula. Okay, so you're going to do that. You're going to take the value of the car, plug it into the inflation calculator, get the value in those years, and you're going to want to, in a table, give me the year, the value of the car, and then in another column, the third column, so I'm imagining 3 columns, right? In the third column, you're going to give me the percentage change. So I need 3 columns, and then I need a row for my header, and then I also need a row for each of the decades. So let me count this out ahead of time. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 210, 219. So I got 6. And plus the header. So I'm thinking that I need 7 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so example 1, let me jump down here, creating a simple table in MS Word. So down here we have across the top, across my across my toolbar across the top of the page, I have this insert. So go to insert. This is also where you're going to insert shapes, but let's do table. Table is right here. So if you click on this table, it brings up this grid so you can select how big you want your table to be. And so I want 3 columns and I want 7 rows. So 3 by 7 table. If you'd want to do 7 by 3, you could have done that as well. It looks something like that. But we want 3 columns, 7 rows. Boom. All right, and it puts it in there for me. You can do some adjusting with this. This looks too big. These columns are way too wide. So you click on these things and you can drag them when it gets to the little like that. You can drag them over. You guys can play with this. You'll figure it out. You guys are super smart. My students are always super smart, especially when it comes to technology. Okay, on my header, I'm going to put year. I'm going to put value of car. And then I'm going to put percentage change. Okay. And then I'm going to put from previous decade. So it's decade to decade change is what we're doing here. And if you want, you can shade some of this. You get those colors over here. You can change your pen color. I'm going to go back bold and I'm going to center these things like that. Ooh, there we go. And so there you can jazz up your table a little bit. So now I'm going to put the years. Okay, and I'm going to go from most recent year to the past. So I'm going to go 2019, 2010, 2000, right? I hope I'm doing this right. 1990, 1980, 1970. And there we go. Okay, you're going to fill in these values of the cars. Then you're going to do your calculations. Starting with 1970, you're going to look at the percentage change from 70 to 80. So 80 would be your current, 70 would be your past. Current minus past divided by past, okay? This, you're not going to know what the value was in the 60s. If you wanted to go look it up, extra credit, right? No. My A students will go and look up what the value of the car was in 1960 so that they can, in fact, fill out that 1970, but you're not required to. And so you'll put here, this will be in your percentage change. This will be the amount that it changed from 1970. And then in your 1990 row, it's going to be the amount that it changed from 1980. Okay, so you'll have these percentage changes all filled out. Now remember, look at your values of your car going up, and then you saw that in 1980 it went to 4,000. So basically it doubled from 2,000 to 4,000. That's a 100% increase. So make sure that when you do the math and you get the actual percentage change, that it's in the ballpark of 100%, let's say. Does that make sense? So use some common sense once you've done your calculations to double check your calculations to see that they make sense. Okay. All right. And there you go. So now you've got this real pretty table. Make sure that you talk about it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right. Instead, if you had wanted to use Excel, what would this have looked like? So let me open up Excel. Now I'm going to try this again. I'm going to stop share for that scene Okay, see where I goofed up last time? I'm going to do share new screen, and I'm going to go to Excel. And so hopefully now you're seeing my Excel, okay? So hopefully I'm going to double check and play back this video when I'm done, but hopefully you'll now see an Excel spreadsheet, okay? Which again, it looks like the insert table, a little more complicated. You can do some really cool stuff with Excel. But right away, you see that it's got 3 columns and you can go down to 7. If you don't use all this data, it's not important, all these spaces. It's just there for you if you want to use that many. But again, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type year across the first column. There's 3 columns, A, B, C. Put in your headers. This one is going to be value of car. And then C is going to be percentage change. And notice the column widths are set. They're just the format or the default. I'm going to adjust so that it looks like this. There you go. I'm going to bold these guys and I'm going to center them because that's how I like it. It looks a little neater. Okay, now I'm going to type in my years. Again, 2019, I think. 2000. Oh, I lied. 2010. Hope I'm doing this right. 1980 and 1970, right? Okay, and again, if I click on this and then do center, it'll, why is the 1970 being difficult? There it goes. Okay. And so now again, you would enter in your dollar value of your car, 6,000, I don't know, 4,000, something like that. Okay. And again, you can center these guys like that. And then same thing, you would type in your percentage changes. I don't know, 15%, something like that. Okay. So you'll have this all filled in with your actual values that you found from the inflation calculator, with the actual percentage changes that you found here. Those of you that know Excel know that you can do percentage change. And maybe I can show you that. Let me do this. 2000, right? And let me go to, I don't know, 3,500, just something like that. And again, you don't have to have the commas in there. You can if you want. Okay. And so now I'm going to put dashes here. To calculate the percentage change, I go to this. Dang it, stop it. I didn't want it to do that. I'll put the dashes in later. Here, I go to where I want to put it in. I would enter a formula. I need to tell Excel what kind of calculations I want it to do. So I would do equals, and then I'm going to do parentheses because I'm doing the numerator first. This number, current number, minus previous number. So it's going to take B6 minus B7, end parentheses, take that value, remember the 20 pounds, and I'm going to divide it by the B7, the most previous year. Okay, so this is 1980 minus 70 divided by 70, and then I'm going to hit enter. And why did you not do it for me? There we go. It did. I just had to move off of it. And so 75%, I can change this, express it as a percent, come over here to my number format, and there we go. And it did it for me. That's a 75% increase. Okay, is what I found. And so then if you want to apply that to all your numbers, you would just drag that up and it applies the formula everywhere. It's telling me these ones aren't available because the data is incomplete, but you can see it did a 50% increase from 4,000 to 6,000. So Excel is cool because you can have the Excel calculate the percentage changes for you, okay? But you don't have to. You can do it manually. There's only so many of them. It's not like there's 100 of them or something, okay? All right, so then, oh, dang it, I should have just put numbers in here. I'm going to fill in numbers. 5,000, 7,600. I'm making these numbers up as I go along. Okay, so there, now I'm going to drag this up and then I'm going to do dash, dash, dash. And no, that's actually a command, I guess. And so that's why it's not doing that. I'm just going to leave it blank. Okay, so now how do I copy this into Word, right? All you do is I just grab that, right click, copy. This is just a right click, copy and paste, okay? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop sharing the Excel and I'm going to go back and I'm back with you guys now. I have it copied, okay? Now I'm going to go back to my Word document. I'm going to share that with you. Now hopefully you're seeing this, and right in here, I can paste. And there it is. It doesn't have the lines are out, but it's a very nice professional looking table. So either way, how you decide to do it, right? You can import it from Excel or you can do it in Word. You have a couple ways of dealing with this now. Okay, so that's 2 of my objectives for this video. Give me 1 second. My voice is getting dry. All right. Now let's move to annotating graphs that I have copied and pasted from other locations. So I didn't do this. I didn't plan this well ahead of time. I didn't have a graph ready to go. I should have. But let me go, and I'm going to unshare again, and I'm going to go to Fred and grab some data real quick. So hang on. I'm going to stop share. I'm back. You get me. And stuff hanging on my go to here, hopefully, okay, and hopefully here, that's my other class, but hopefully I can open up, dang it, how do I do this? How do I open a new, there we go, okay, open up a new sheet, that's what I wanted to do here, okay, so now I'm going to do Fred. I'm going to bring up the, oh, Fred Meyer, bring up my Fred website. I'm just going to grab any old graph. Oh, let me grab CPI. Okay, and again, be careful when you're doing inflation. Inflation is not CPI. This is not inflation, but let me just grab this graph, okay? Just so that we have a graph. Actually, let me do a percentage change. Those are more fun to edit. I'm going to go here. This is not inflation, but I want it to be, and I want to do quarterly inflation. I'm not sure what I asked for, but, and I'm going to do percentage change. And there we go. And so when I do that, you get this nice cooler looking graph than what I had before. It's got some variability to it, right? All right, so let me copy this graph and paste it over. Again, I'm gonna go back to, now that I have this here, I'm gonna do screen clipping. So I'm going to stop share again. I'm going to, oh, I wonder if I can do this. Okay, if I can, I should have done this ahead of time. And then from here, insert, screenshot, screen clipping, okay, and now I'm back. And so I'm gonna do in Zoom, let me go back to Zoom, not what I wanted to clip. Go back to here, let me go back to my Word. Anyways, you may not be able to see me screen clipping, but I've done this before. So hang on while I go and screen clip this guy. Okay, so now I have it in my Word document. I'm going to go, I want to be extra careful that I am doing this so you guys can see it. Stop. How do I stop my screen share? Okay. Zoom meeting. Here I am. Okay, so I'm going to do share, and I'm going to do, here we go. You guys know how to screen clip in. I've done that before, right? So you just use, if you are here for the first time and you don't remember, insert, screenshot, screen clipping, then you go to the other screen. It will now, it has to be the last screen that you are on. So you have to go right from your browser to Word because it'll remember the last site you visited. And so it'll screen clip from that, okay? So if it tries to take you to your Excel file or some other websites because you were looking at that just prior to hitting screen clipping. So go to your Fred, come to the Word, do insert screen clipping. It'll automatically take you back to the Word, the most previously viewed screen. Do the trimming and import it, and here it is. Voila. So I just screen clipped this in. Now what I need to do, and hopefully you guys are seeing this, right? Now I'm going to insert shapes. And it's up here across the top. The insert toolbar will open up a whole bunch of options of what do you want to insert. And so I'm going to do, let's do a call out box. And those are down here. You scroll down, make sure you scroll down to see all the different options. And so I'm going to do one here. I'm going to say, hey, And when you do this, then you can grab this little yellow one at the pointy end, and you can say, here, and notice that it's filled. I don't want it to be filled. I can do no fill there. You can do fill white. Let me do that. So it'll be white in the background. So I can type, and then I'm going to type, hey, and don't, oh, I hate this. Types in white. So I have to do, tell it to type in black. Hey, look, really high inflation. Okay, now yours is going to be much more professional than that. I am just saying. And then you can expand this guy. Right, there you go. Hey, look, really high inflation. Okay, and same thing over here, right? So you might do another one, okay, over here as well. You may want to call that out even better with a circle. So insert shapes. And so I can put a circle around that. Now notice it's all filled in. Go to shape fill and do no fill. And then while I'm there, or actually I can do outline, and I can do red. And in that shape outline, I can change the weight of it to be heavier like that. Okay. And so and then I can even call this over here and say, hey, look, really high inflation. See how I did that? Those are annotations. And you could do, hey, look, you want to insert a shape, you can do an arrow. Hey, look, it fell, right? Inflation was falling. And again, you can change the outline, you can change the color. Let's make it green. Let's make it thick, right? Something like that. There we go. Okay. And again, maybe you want to call out this deflation that I see. I would call this out because this is super cool. We actually had a period of significant, and again, you can stretch this guy, make him as big as you want. Go back, insert shape. Shape outline, oh, shape fill, get rid of that, no fill. And again, change the outline shape. Let's do purple and let's make it pretty thick. Something like that. And you can stretch it. So there you go. Play with this. And don't just put circles here with no explanations. Make sure that you use these call out boxes. And you can do squares, you can do rectangles, you can do clouds, circles, call out circles, whatever, if you want to. But make sure that you don't just leave this circle here. This is like the difference between a B and an A. This would be a B. You've attempted to put some annotations on here, right? An A would be, hey, I've got the annotation and an explanation describing it. So that's awesome, okay? So do a bunch of these on every graph. Give it a shot. It's your chance to play with this. You're adding more detail to your graphs. You're making your graphs tell a story. And then also make sure that you talk about anything that you've annotated in your graph, you thought it was important to call out. Make sure that you call it out in writing. So make sure that you talk about that. Refer to your graph in your textual analysis in that very well-developed paragraph or two that you're gonna have per question, okay? Again, I'd be happy to look at any of these rough drafts or any graphs that you want me to look at. Just send me a graph or just say, is this enough annotations or whatever? Is this the right data? Is this the civilian labor force and not the labor force participation rate, for example? So by all means, I have seen quite a few students have already sent me some preliminary work and it's looking awesome. I think I've already had one perfect paper, so kudos to that person. They're probably not listening because I think I just told them to upload their project. They were good to go. And that could be the advantage of sending it to me early. You might be done, right? And I can say, hey, that's fantastic. You got your 30 points, right? Or I'll say, hey, you know, that's about a 25. If you wanted to get a 30, here's what you can do. I'm more than happy to provide any of that feedback prior to the due date. So please send me what you got to look at. I love it, looking at these things in progress and guiding you along the way on a more individual basis. So hopefully this has helped. Again, use Google if you still aren't able to figure out Excel, the basic Excel, which you really don't need to, but if you want to. Also, if you have trouble figuring out how to make that table or to annotate your graphs in Word, Google is your friend, as am I. I have office hours. Let me quickly say I posted an announcement today. I found out when I logged into my Zoom to hold my office hours that I am required now by the university to have a password to prohibit trolls and things from coming in and observing our Zoom meetings and to ensure privacy for our classmates and for me. So we will have a password. I posted that in Canvas in an announcement today. So if you do come to my office hours, use the meeting ID and the password that I have provided for you. And don't share that with anybody. You guys know the deal, right? All right. I miss you guys. I hope you're all staying safe. Let me know if you have any further questions or need any more demonstrations or any anything like that, I'm here to help. All right, get working on those projects. I really can't wait to see these. You guys impress me. You really do. I think you'll impress yourselves at what nice quality projects you'll be able to turn in for this project, for this assignment. All right, I miss you. Talk to you later. Bye. Meeting, how do I get out? Stop sharing, and then I'm going to stop recording, and then I'm gonna, do I want to stop recording?